Hello everyone, this is Chris from Peace of Mind Art and Crafts, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be making a small little journal, kind of a good beginner project if you're just starting out, or if you need to make a whole bunch of something to give as gifts. These are absolutely lovely. They're made mostly of scrapbook paper and some ephemera. They each have about 6 pages in them. And I'll show you how to make them both, how to sew them with the sewing machine, and how to make them when you just are sewing them from the binding, hand sewing them, in case you don't have a sewing machine or you don't want to do that. Okay, so these are just some samples. Needles, my favorite. Okay. I have listed here the sizes for you as we go along, and I'll show you these a couple of times. Let's cut the paper. I use, for this project, it's a good idea to use, actually this is, I think it's 6 by 8 paper. Let me see. 6 by 8. Yes, this is a 6 by 8 sheet of paper. And it's the best idea to use a double-sided paper so that you don't really have to decorate too much on the inside. Now the inside pages are using a one-sided paper so that you have an area for to write in your journal or notebook. This is an excellent one to keep in your purse or pocket. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to cut the paper, whatever size paper you're going to use, and I'll show you 2 sizes, how to cut them. This is the 6 by 8 size. Paper is sold in a 6 by 6 size, which would be ideal for this, as long as it's double-sided. And I'll also show you how to cut the 12 by 12 sheet. I'll be using a paper cutter. However, if you don't have a paper cutter, you can just measure it and mark it with a pencil and cut it by hand. I have my handy paper cutter here. Bring that forward a bit. And the paper needs to be 6 by 6 to start out with. Excuse me. So we'll be cutting off part of it. If it matters which direction you want your paper designs to go in, then you need to plan that ahead of time. Let's see, I think we'll have these go, we'll have them go across. So we can cut the 6. Now that we have our 6 by 6 piece of paper, what I'm going to do is then turn it, put it at 4.5. I'm not going to cut again. Instead, I'm going to score it or fold it. If you don't have a ruler, what you can do, a score device like this one is, then you can measure it, mark it, and then fold it by hand. All this does is score it, and I'll show you how that works. You need to decide what you want the front of your book to be. I think I'll have the front of my book be the roses. So I'm gonna fold it like that. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside because I'm gonna cut another piece so that we can make 2 journals. This one I'm gonna cut out of the roses, and I do want this paper to be the roses to be on the outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this at 6 inches. This is a 12 by 12 paper, so I'll be able to get 2 out of this paper. And this time I'm not going to score it, but I'm going to cut it. So I'm using the white. This is the cutter on my machine, and this is the score. Okay, so I can do 2 at one time on here, which would be a good idea. Once again, figure out which side you want on the front. I want this side on the front. Cut my paper 6 again. And 6. Actually, now I have 4. I have 4 to use. I can use the other 3 at another time. Okay, I think I'm going to score at the bottom of this where it folds up. I'm going to score it at, remember I said 4.5 inches. Okay, so that's scored on there. Okay, as long as I have my paper cutter out, I'm going to show you how to cut the inside pages for your book. Checking to see how my how I'm lining up here, if you can see what I'm doing. I think you can. Yes. Okay. The inside pages size is 5.5 by 4 inches. So this, for this one, I can use paper that is double-sided, or I can use paper that is one-sided. Let's work with the paper that's one-sided here. Got 3 sheets here. Let's see if I can cut 3 sheets at a time. Okay, so we want the paper to be 5.5 by 4. And like I said, if you don't have a paper cutter, you can just measure it yourself and cut it. Okay, so 5.5 inches. There we go. We want this paper to be cut about 1/4 to 1/2 inch smaller than the outside of the book, so that it doesn't stick out of the edges. Although it can stick out of the edges if you want it to. Okay, so our other dimension is 4 inches. So let's cut some 4-inch pieces. Oops, that was my score. That's okay though. Okay, and then as long as we got it here, we got enough. We'll go ahead and make another 4 inches. You should be able to make 3 out of this, since this is a 12 by 12 sheet. Yes, and we did. Okay. So we have some pages cut for the inside of the books. I'll put our paper cutter away for now. Our next step is after we scored the bottom, that will turn up 1.5 inches. This dimension is 4 inches. What we want to do now is we want to unfold that. This is the bottom. We'll turn it to the side, open it up. Now we're going to make the spine of the book. We're going to match up these edges. You can score this edge also if you want, but I find this works better to get it as even as possible. Okay. Use your fingernails or a bone folder, which I don't have, to score down that. And then turn this up. Now you'll notice when you fold this over for this little book, it gets kind of bulky right in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to unfold it, And I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually measure it so you can see what I'm doing. My pencil. Oh, I can't find my pencil, so I use my pen. You might want to use a pencil, even though this is going to be on the inside of your book. You'll want to put just a tiny little dot where it intersects here. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a tiny little bit of this paper out of the way, and I'll show you on the inside of the book how it looks. See how I took just a tiny bit of that paper away, so that when I fold it, that it folds very nicely and it doesn't get caught up in the middle part, doesn't get too thick. Okay. Once you get used to this, you won't need to measure it at all. Just measure it over a tiny bit. And it doesn't have to be exactly even on both sides, because guess what? You're not going to be able to see both sides at the same time. Okay, then you'll want to cut. You get to that center point. Cut the other side. Take it to the center point. And you can take that little piece out. Okay. And you have something that looks like this. Okay, if you're going to sew this, you won't need to glue it on both edges of here, but you can glue it if you're not gonna sew it. So I'm gonna show the method of gluing it down. Now this is going to be a little pocket where something's going to fit inside of here. So you do not want to glue this part right here, just the sides. And you just want a little thin layer of white glue, tacky glue. This particular glue is called Art Glitter Glue. I got mine from Amazon. Gail Augustinelli has her own website, and on her website she has my favorite things. That's where I ordered mine. You can order it off of her website, and it helps her and gives her some extra money from the sale of those items. Okay. And I'm going to also glue this side. Remember not to glue the top. This glue works pretty quickly and holds pretty fast, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now you have your little booklet done. Now you can either decorate the front cover now, or you can wait until you put the pages in. I think I'll put the pages in, show you how to do that. Okay, remember we cut our pages before. So let's decide which ones we want to have. Some colors that go with the inside of your book. Or I don't even mind if they don't. We'll use those colors. Now all you have to do for the pages is to fold them in half. You can either fold them in half this way or this way. I tend to do one folded to the white side and two folded with the pattern on the outside. And I'll show you in a minute why I do that. Okay, so one of these pages is going to show like here. I think I'll have this blue one. Okay, see how this is a little less than the, actually that's, I don't know if I measured that right. Should I have gone the other way? Yeah, I think it's going to fit fine. Okay, so we want this one in front. We'll put this one in the middle. And let's see. How about if we put this one in the middle? Go. Any arrangement you want. I usually use three pieces if I have like a thicker paper in there. If I have a really thin paper in there, you could use, such as if you used copy paper, you could probably put 4 pieces in there, which would be fine. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to clip. Let me get my handy dandy, put my glue back together here. If you haven't been on my channel before, my name is Chris, and I am an art teacher and an artist. And I thought I'd do some videos, get myself out there in the YouTube world, and to give people a chance to watch some free instructions on how to make things. I do have an Etsy also, so you can get to my Etsy shop by pressing on the icon on my channel, on my YouTube channel. There's a bar across the top, and it says my Etsy shop, and you can press that, and you'll get to my Etsy shop, where you can view some of the items that I make and sell. Okay, here's my little bookbinding kit. I just keep it in a bag. Some needles. I'll need a needle. I want this blunt needle because it's not pokey on the bottom, but it still goes through a hole. This is what I use to poke my hole. It's just a compass, and of course I use this part of it. You can also use an awl, which is a tool that has a pointed end. Okay. I use these big giant paper clips to kind of clip in where my pages are, so they don't move around as I'm binding them. I'm going to check my view here. I think I'm good. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure. I'm going to kind of eyeball it. You can measure if you want, but I usually just eyeball it. And it's good to have this little pencil on here because I can just measure where the center is. And usually I go up, or excuse me, down an inch from the top and down and up an inch from the bottom. But since this book is quite small, I'm just going to probably do about 1/2 of an inch. Or 3/4 of an inch or so. There. And when I think I have my holes punched good place, then I'm going to turn my book to the side. Make sure my fingers are out of the way, and I'm going to punch it. Make sure my fingers are out of the way. There we go. Now we have 3 holes punched in there. Next thing we want to do is want to get out some thread to use to sew it together. I got this at, I believe at Hobby Lobby. It's called waxed cord, and this is usually what I like. I like the feeling of it, and I use it for pretty much all my little journals that I make, and some of the bigger ones too. This is a real basic way to bind a journal. These pages that I put in are called a signature. You can have more than one signature in a book, in a journal. It depends on how wide the binding is. Now, the binding on this book is not wide at all. It's as a matter of fact, it's almost nothing. So you don't want to put too many pages in it because it would tear and rip. Okay, so I think I'm going to use the black on this one, since the outside cover's got some black on it. Okay, and what I want it, the size that I want to make it is I'll make it twice the size length of the book, and then add a little bit. Cut it off. Okay, then I want to thread my needle. If you get these big tapestry needles, they're a lot easier to thread. And because of this waxed cord, that makes it a little bit easier too. Okay. You can do this two ways. You can have your tie on the inside of the book, or you can have your tie on the outside of the book. If you have it on the inside of the book, which is what I'm going to do, then that's where you want to start. So you want to go down the middle on the inside of the book, all the way to the outside, pull your cord through, and leave some. Then you want to come up, either at the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter at this point, and pull it till it's fairly taut on the outside. See that? And you want to go all the way down to the bottom. Check it on the back. Okay, then you want to come up and try to come up on the other side. You notice you have one thread over here now. So try to come up on the other side of that thread. Okay. Okay, let's take our paper clips off. Let's see how it fits, how it closes. Tug on it gently. Okay, take your needle out. Then you want to tie a square knot. Okay, some people, and the way you can tell what the bottom is which direction the pockets go in. Some people like to leave this hanging out the bottom and put charms or so on there. Since this is kind of a small journal, I don't think I will. So I'll clip this fairly close to the middle. Okay, and we have it sewed in. I'm going to make one more up real quick and I'll show you how to sew it on the machine, or actually I'll describe how to sew it on the machine. Okay. So we had cut another one. Remember, we had our 6x6 paper that we cut. Then we measured 1.5 inch up from the bottom, turned that over, press that down. We opened it out and folded it till both the halves meet. Turn it like so. Now on this one, since it's a directional pattern of the bicycles, it's going to show up upside down on this side, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. Okay, then we're going to unfold it. Remember how we made our little mark here where they intersect? And then we measured to cut down the side. So that it has that little bit of leeway. Okay. Then we glued on the side. If at any time you want to fast forward on my videos, that's great. Go ahead and do that. I don't pause and speed them up because I don't know how to do that. But also I like to give you a full glimpse of, you know, if you're a beginner, and some beginners really need to go step by step and actually make one with me. Okay, remember I left the top open. That's where you can put a little photograph or other little ephemera that you might want to put in your journal. Notes. Okay, so basically we have our journal finished except for putting something on the cover. Okay, so we want to pick our pages. I think I'll pick some beachy pages for this one because of the... And let's see. Yeah, those will fit fine. So we fold our 3 pages that we want in there. I'll usually fold 2 with the pattern showing. Okay, I like the gold, matches the gold in there. Then I fold 1 the other direction. Okay, then we put our pages the way we want them. And they'll go in the middle here. Now you'll notice that I must have messed up just a tiny bit when I cut the pages for this one. It didn't really matter. It goes all the way to the edge. But if I was going to sew this one, I would have had to cut them just a little bit smaller so I could sew around. Okay, so now what I would do is I would go to my sewing machine. Before I put the pages in, I take those with me to the sewing machine. I would start up here and I'd go all the way around this way, across, come up, and then back around till you almost get to the middle. Okay, then you're going to put this in here. And it'll be right up against that stitching. You can put your paper clips on again, or any kind of clips that you have. Okay, then you'll put this, or you'll turn it in your sewing machine because it'll already be in there. Or if you can't do that, then just go ahead and take it out, and then you can sew with a back stitch, and then sew all the way down here on the little back stitch, and then you're done. You can take your paper clips off and you have sewed it. Okay, you also could probably glue this in. I haven't tried that, but if you wanted to glue it in, you could do like 1 page at a time on the back, some glue here, put your page down, put some glue in the next page, and so on. I wouldn't recommend that though, because it probably wouldn't hold very well. Another thing you could do is, if you didn't want to sew it, is you could just tie it. And I'll show you how to do that. There's all different kinds of ways to make things, that's for sure. And as you go along, you might even invent some of your own ways to make things. I'm going to put my paper clips back on again so I make sure I have my pages where I want them. I'm just gonna actually, I think I'll tie it on the inside. As I'm on the inside of the pages, the middle part of the pages. Okay, then I'll come to the center And I'll finish off like so. And that'll hold it together with as few pages as it has. That'll be fine to hold it together. And you can also, and I would recommend this, put a little dot of glue right here and glue it down so that it doesn't shift around. Okay. All right, let's see where we're at as far as the video. We're at 30 minutes. Okay, I'll show you a couple quick, here's your instructions again. I'll show you a couple of quick ways to decorate the front of your cover. And you can use your own photographs too if you have a special person you're making them for. To put a copy of their photograph right on the front. And all my things I usually put a sentiment on there. Some of my bigger paintings and my bigger journals I don't, but most of the time I like doing that. Okay, here's the one that we bound. Both of them. And what we can do is we can use lace. Basically, we can use anything we want. I might use a little lace on this one. There's some pink. It straight. I'm using my paper scissors for this. I could be using my fabric scissors. Okay. Usually what I do is I assemble all the pieces that I want to put on a page and then I glue down. Because you never know if you want to put you want to put something under something else or on top of something else. Well, on top you wouldn't have a problem, but if you wanted to put something under something else, then you would have to just hold that down there for a minute. Okay, a little flower there. I might want to keep the front fairly flat. Let's look at these. Let's look at some sayings on there. What we could put. Something in white, maybe. You can get these little sticker sayings at any hobby or craft store. How about favorite tales? I think that sounds kind of good. I'll wait to put that after I get the lace glued down. Just gonna put a bead of glue down the page. This glue does dry fast, so you need to kind of move around fairly quickly. And you can usually take a napkin or a wet wipe and blot it down. Especially if you need to move it around a little bit and you don't want to get glue all over yourself. Okay, then let's see, where do you want to put this saying? Down here, maybe? Okay, that does have self-stick on the back. However, that usually doesn't hold very well, so I always make sure I put some extra glue on there. So I have that one. Let's see what we can put on this one. Bring out my, excuse me, bring out my paper dolls. Tim, I love playing with these paper dolls. Tim Holtz makes these. Too big. And they come in all different sizes. There's a cute little girl, but that doesn't go with that particular theme. And it looks like it's a girl's bicycle. Maybe I won't find one that works for a girl riding a bicycle. You probably can't have a dress on. Okay. That idea is not great. So I'll move along to a different idea. Actually, I kind of liked the lace idea on the other one. There. I think that, or the lavender. Either one really works. I think I'll go with the lavender. Gotta put it right along the spine there. Oops. I need both hands. Okay, and if that extended on the edge a little bit, then I could always cut that off after it was dried. I'd wait until it dried though before I did it. Okay, maybe a flower on there would be nice. I can get them. Hello. Like that. So, flower right there. I'm gonna move this, try to move this little bead over a bit. Like I said earlier, this glue sticks down fairly fast, which is nice. Okay, do we want a saying or a phrase on there? Let's see. I have a lot of those. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. I like that one. Okay, we are going to need to cut this though, because it's too long to fit across. Okay. And I'll glue that on there. Okay, and there's your 2 little mini journals. I hope that you try to make these. It's really a fun little project. They would make excellent little favors at a party. So, until next time, I wish you all peace of mind. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you.